Hi. I was thinking about the way we paint, and I was thinking about how sometimes we can paint with a lot of hesitation because we're perhaps not 100% sure about the decisions that we're making or what the outcome is going to be, or perhaps we're waiting to get some sort of assurance from other people before we can really feel confident that what we're doing is making good art. And all these thoughts and things that we take when we come to the painting that we have in our head, they can really slow us down and bring a tightness into our work, so that we're just not sort of free to make the moves and really be explorative and experimental and free in our painting. And it got me thinking about, what does it look like to actually paint with freedom? What does that actually physically look like? And how would we paint if we were to paint confidently? What would that look like? As we step up to the canvas, how would our actions be different? If we were really confident and we weren't worried about the outcome, we weren't worried about whether what we were doing was right or wrong, and we weren't worried about perhaps wrecking the painting or making it worse, we would step up to the painting with a lot more assurance and confidence, and we might load our paintbrush up with more paint, and we might use different tools, and we might be a lot more experimental in our painting. And as a result, there might be a lot more fluidity and looseness and a wider range of experiences in our painting, because we weren't tightly held with the sort of fear and doubt and hesitation that we bring to the painting when we're doubting ourselves, we're not feeling 100% confident. When I was learning the piano many years ago, when I was a kid, I was doing exams, and there was a piece that I had to play in the exam, and I knew it really, really well, and I could sort of play it without any mistakes, and I had really practiced it a lot, so I was very confident with the piece. However, my piano teacher felt like I needed more expression while I played. So she made me do this little exercise, and it's really stuck with me ever since. What she got me to do was she said to me, imagine that you are a famous pianist. Who would you be? And at the time I had no experience of, I'd never seen any famous pianists or anything like that. I'd been to one concert in my hometown. My mother took me, and it was just her and me, and I must have been about 11, I think, when I went to this concert, and it was a man, just a concert pianist, and his name happened to be Tchaikovsky. Now, whether that was really his name or not, I really got no idea, but somehow I doubt it. I think that might have been a name he adopted for the purpose of his career. But anyway, we went to see this man called Tchaikovsky, and he played the piano just like, a concert pianist would. And so when my music teacher asked me to imagine being a concert pianist or being a famous pianist, I imagined that I was this Tchaikovsky with the probably adopted name. Anyway, she said, close your eyes and picture him. Picture him playing the piano, and what it sounded like and what it looked like. And so I did that, and I really, went back in time and sat there thinking about what it looked like, and how, he sort of leant into the piano, and then he would lean back, and his hands would sort of float lightly over it, and then they'd plunge sort of deeply into it when he was doing things that were loud, and how his whole body sort of embodied the music, really. Anyway, she said, now I want you to play this piece being him. And so, feeling a little self-conscious, I stepped up to the piano and sat down and launched into this thing. But I really, I imagined that I was him, and I put so much more feeling, and I imagined that everything I did was, absolutely wonderful because I was this concert pianist. And it actually really did make that make the way that I played feel very different, and it actually sounded very different as well. There was a lot more expression in the way that I was playing this music. This could be an exercise that we do when perhaps that would help us in the studio, and it's a challenge that I give you this week, to go into the studio and imagine that you are some masterful artist, someone whose work you absolutely love, who is a real top-notch, famous, in all museums, a real big-name artist. And imagine what it feels like to be that person, or what it was like for that person as they stepped up, as they walked into their studio and did their artwork. How did they feel as they walked in? Did they walk in thinking of the problems of selling their work and what colour are they going to mix first, and what if the paper isn't the right size, and how am I going to, should I use a gel medium or a blah blah blah? Or do they just walk up and confidently look at their work and say, that's what I'm going to use today, and grab it and then dive into their work and attack it with energy and looseness and freedom and all those sorts of big movements? That's how I sort of imagine those amazing artists would be. There's just an absolute surety. There's no doubt. There's no hesitation. So that's the challenge. Pretend you're an artist. Now, when I say pretend, I mean really pretend. I remember going to I went to many years ago when I went to parties. I remember going to a fancy dress party, and it was at a house just around the corner from where I lived. So I got ready and I went as a punk rocker. So I dressed myself up in this punk rock gear. I piled my hair up and I think I sprayed it with some colour. I had a dog collar on, I had a big black jacket, I had fishnet stockings and a little mini skirt, and I had torn holes in the fishnet stockings, and I had big boots on, and I was tough. And when I had to walk round to the parties, I was going to be drinking, I wasn't going to drive home. So I walked round, and as I was walking round, I noticed that I wasn't just walking, I was stomping my way around there. And I thought, God, I'm actually turning into this hard punk rocker. So by the time I got there, I was not to be messed with. And anyway, I had a wonderful time. But the point of that is that you really have to, I don't think that we're going to dress up like Manet or put a beret on our head or anything like that, but you really have to take some time and imagine what it feels like to be that artist. And take yourself out of what it feels like to be Judy Woods or whoever you are, and imagine that you are Monet or Van Gogh or whoever. What does it feel like? How do you mix your paint as that artist? How do you stand back and look at your painting as that artist? How do you walk up to the canvas and make those marks as that artist? Really try and embody their mindset, the way they feel, and just see if it makes any difference to the way that you work. I'm not suggesting that you try and produce work like them, and I don't think, for 1 minute that any of us will suddenly overnight become the next Monet or whoever, Picasso. But just leaving the hesitation behind and pretending that we're confident and that we can do this with assurance and we don't have any doubts and we're not worried about the outcome or anything like that. We're just exploring and trying things out. and, you know, just seeing what will happen, just doing that with confidence might really make a difference with what we see on the canvas. So that's my challenge. Try it and see if it makes a difference. I'd love to hear if it does. If you're a member in my Facebook group, you can post your work in the Facebook group that you have done as a result of pretending or putting on the persona of this famous artist. If you're not, then come over and join us in the Upbeat Artist group. I'd love to have you there. It's a really big, growing group now, and full of really supportive, wonderful artists. The work in there is amazing. Just astounds me every day, the variety and the, you know, just really fantastic work. And there are beginners there and really accomplished artists. So it's a great place for just being amongst like-minded people who are all on the same journey. So come and join us, and good luck with your pretense. Really embody that person and see if it makes a difference.